smoke. Ladies and Lettlemen, hosses and hossettes, hello mother fluffers.
Oh hey King. I want to tell you about a new friend here of the channel. It's Badlands Munitions Company. Training ammo, pistol ammo. There's even match ammo. What's dope is, guys, they're based here in the United States, right out of Arizona. Everything, it's all made in-house. They've actually given us a discount code, 10% off for all the homies. No matter what you pick up, if it's ammunition, you're getting 10% off. Code 110 Sass, check them out.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. It's an honor to be in your presence. I'm Cody Curry. This is 110 Sass Actual. Guys, we have the legendary M1 Garand. But what's that you say? It's not exactly your grandpappy's M1 Garand. Guys, the M1 Mod 69. We're talking 24 inches of pure 6'5" Creedmoor muscle, baby. We got an optic on it. We've got an in-gall on it. We've got a weapon-mounted light. And yes, that is a suppressor. Oh my goodness. Guys, I don't know what has gotten into me, but bringing back these old World War II relics into the 21st century, it's just, I don't know, it's something special to me. It's so much fun to take these old guns because they have so much character. Not necessarily character because they're old and character because, I don't know, they're worth something because they're old. It's just that the way they shoot, the way they handle, just the way they feel, it's very primitive compared to today's standards. You know, today we have AR-15s, we have SMGs, we have beautiful pistols and so on and so forth. You get these old guns like this old piston, this old op rod functioning 30-06, now rechambered into 6.5 Creedmoor, and it's just, there's so much character and it's just so much fun to shoot. And it's also, it's something special because, guys, this is literally what our great-grandfathers, our grandfathers carried all across the Pacific, all across Europe, all the way in Korea. I mean, it's just something super special to have something like this. And then just to bring it into the 21st century and make it fun, make it modern. So, no, contrary to popular belief, I don't care what the boomers think. It's actually, I mean, it's kind of funny to see them just absolutely lose their minds and just lose their shit because, oh my god, it's a war relic. No, it's not a war relic. Oh my god, it's a priceless, it's an heirloom. No, it's not an heirloom. They made 3 million 1911s. They made like almost 4 million, 3 point something million M1 Garands. Guys, these things are not rare. In fact, they're in stock at the CMP and you can get one just like this for $700. So if you're having a heart attack, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, I mean, it's just fun. It's fun and it's okay to have a gun and make it fun and make it modern. It's your own weapon. They're not gonna own it. What's it matter? Guys, do what makes you happy, kings. Now, I don't necessarily enjoy making the boomers mad, making those fuds mad. Oh my god, you ruined it. Now, Is it funny sometimes? Yeah, it's amusing, but it's not to get a rise out of anybody. Guys, this is just an absolute blast. And here's the thing. If we lose a couple FUDs because they had a heart attack over this gun, well, guys, somebody's got to make sure that we get our Social Security when we're older. So why do you do it, baby Billy? Well, because I'm selfless. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and talk about what we did to this. So I went to the CMP store. The CMP store is the Civilian Marksmanship Program. Guys, for $700, you can buy an M1 Garand, and they have no shortage of M1 Garands right now. Guys, $700, you go up there and you can pick from, I would say, at least 100 at the North store. If you go to the South store in Talladega, Alabama, I'd say there's twice that amount. So you go there and you pick it up, it's $700. Now, this is a rack grade. This is the lowest grade, probably the worst quality M1 Garand that you can get from that store. Usually with a rack grade M1 Garand, guys, you're gonna have a roached 30-06 barrel that shoots probably 8 MOA. You're gonna have some pitting and stuff on the receiver. It's gonna function, but I mean, that's about the extent of it. So I picked one with the best wood I could find and the best receiver I could find because I knew what I was gonna do with this gun. So I had this dream of just taking the 1911 World War I that we had made up by Mark III firearms and taking it a step further. Let's make the whole loadout. So got to the CMP, I picked out my M1 Garand, and I said, hey, let's get an optic on this thing and let's suppress it. But wouldn't it be sweet if we made it in 6.5 Creedmoor? How do we do that? How do we even go about doing that? Like, who even makes M1 Garand barrels? I don't even know anybody who makes M1 Garand barrels. So did some research. Criterion, they actually make all of the M1 Garand barrels for the brand new grade. They call them expert grade from the CMP. Now, a Springfield CMP expert grade M1 Garand is going to have brand new wood, a brand new barrel. All the internals are going to be worked over, and there are going to be some parts replaced and so on and so forth. But I think those run like $1,100 if I'm not mistaken, which is a pretty good deal, really, if you think about it. But Criterion, they're the people who make those brand new barrels for those M1 Garands. So I gave them a call. I said, hey, have you guys ever made 6.5 Creedmoor barrels for the M1 Garand? They're like, no, we've never done such a thing. I was like, would you be interested? And they were like, no, probably not. And I was like, well, okay. I'm sorry for calling. Bye. Anyways, 5 minutes later, I get a call back and say, hey, I just want to let you know that we looked through some stuff, and actually it turns out we have 2. That's it, just 2 barrel blanks. They're 6.5 chambered. So we made this for a run of 6.5 Swede barrels. We did quite a few years ago, and they've just been sitting around. So if you want those, you can have them. I said, well, absolutely, I'll take them both. Just send them here. So I'm not necessarily an M1 Grandsmith. Actually, I'm not an M1 Grandsmith at all. In fact, my extent of gunsmithing is taking a Nighthawk to a Dremel to make the optic plate fit the ARM RHD. So you guys know me, I'm not the greatest gunsmith in the world. I will never be the greatest gunsmith in the world. I don't know, I don't have the patience for it, whatever. So I was like, who can build an M1 Garand? Like, again, all of the smiths that build M1 Garands are either retired or unfortunately they've passed away. So what do I do? And then I think, what about Fulton Armory? Duh, Fulton Armory. So I was a little scared to call them, I'm not gonna lie, because guys, they work on M14s, M1 Garands, and M1 carbines. Like, their entire clientele has to be over the age of 55, I would say. Most of them are probably on Social Security. So I was a little afraid to call them and tell them what I had planned because, I'm not gonna lie, they probably thought I was sacrilegious, and like, I really thought they were just gonna hang up on me and say, get out of here, we don't want your business. But guys, this company turned out to be super base. So I got to talk with the owner of the company, Rich. Absolute goated dude. I mean, the nicest dude in the world. And he took this project on as his own personal project. I told him my vision, I told him what I needed, and he just made it happen. So I said, hey, listen, I've got this 6.5 unchambered barrel. I want to make it 6.5 Creedmoor, and I also want to suppress it. And he's like, what? But after that, it was all like, okay, send it in. Let's see what we can do. Let's get this thing to work. So took the barrel, headspace, timed it, and chambered it, okay? Had the barrel threaded for the suppressor. So the M1 Garand is not necessarily made for a suppressor. In fact, it was never made for a suppressor because suppressors were a very niche, very unused thing back in the 1930s and 1940s when this M1 Garand was peak technology battle rifle. So what we had to do is we put an adjustable gas plug. Now, Fulton Armory now makes their own adjustable gas plug. It screws into the end of your gas tube down here at the bottom. And what you do is just take an Allen key and just crank it out to kind of let that gas just escape instead of coming back into the action. So it works fantastic with a suppressor and also without the suppressor. So there's a couple different settings on it. You take it, you crank it down, close the gas system, crank it out to open up the gas systems. And it really didn't take too long to get this thing dialed in. So we got the gun. Next, we got the rail. So I said, hey, I want to get a PEC 15 laser. And he's like, what's that? Like, what's that? I was like, it's a laser used with night vision. He's like, you're gonna shoot an M1 Garand with night vision? I said, yeah, buddy. So Fulton Armory actually has this in stock on their website, and it's super easy to install. You take off your top cover of this piece of wood right here, take that rail system, and it mounts onto the actual barrel itself, and it secures with 4 screws, 2 clamps. Super easy, takes maybe 10 minutes to install. The hardest part of installing it is getting the barrel or getting this wood band off of here without cracking your wood. It's super easy if you've got like snap ring pliers, but yeah. Anyways, got that guy on there, put the suppressor on, went to the optic system. Now the optic system is something Grand Thumb has actually covered. It's been a few years ago, and I remember watching this video a long time ago, and I was like, yeah, if I ever get an M1 Garand, I'm gonna do that. So the company's out of Canada. It's called Bad Ace Tactical. It's super easy to install. It's very intuitive if you really think about it. So Bad Ace Tactical, it replaces the rear iron sights and with this aluminum block. Now this aluminum block mounts through the rear iron sights. You simply screw it in, put your thread locker in there. I chose Vibrotite, you can use Loctite, whatever. As long as you're not chemically welding this thing together, you're gonna be fine. Now, I put that on there. And it actually comes drilled from the factory with a couple different footprints. Unfortunately, those footprints are like, I hate to say it, kind of poor optics, like Vortex and like something like that. And I'm not gonna run a Vortex on this gun. I'm gonna run a nice optic because I believe the gun deserves a nice optic. So we went with the Aimpoint Acro, and we also have now a Trijicon RMR on it. The Aimpoint Acro, I was able to get a little bit more flush fitting and a little less height over bore with that optic just because the plate could directly mount to that block there. And then of course you put the optic onto that FCD plate. I liked the Aimpoint Acro. I thought it matched the aesthetics of the gun very well, but I'm just not the biggest fan of really any close-up emitter pistol dots. I think there's just too much sacrifice for what you're getting. So we went back to the traditional RMR, the SOR, just the Trijicon optics. So that's a pretty sweet thing. Now, it comes with a Picatinny rail, so you can put pretty much whatever you want on it. Actually, as you've seen in the video, I was able to get an LPVO on this thing. Now, here's the thing with that LPVO. Yes, it absolutely works, and it was nice and stable on there. I was even able to get the recoil lugs on there. However, guys, the height over bore is just, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, this chin weld is not ideal. Let's see what this warhorse can do, huh?
You have to get a cheek weld riser, some sort of pad to actually make this thing legitimately any sort of consistency and precision. So yes, the height over bore is absolutely ridiculous, but I just took a blanket and wrapped around it and, you know, just sat my cheek on that. And that actually kind of worked for what we were trying to do. I would highly not recommend you putting any sort of like legitimate magnified optic on this thing other than some sort of red dot. I think actually what a really good optic, what would fit this is like one of those mini ACOGs or the primary arms, those prism optics. I think they have 3 power and 5 power, just fixed power red dot optics. I think that would be a pretty decent match for this gun, but ultimately I'm just gonna choose a red dot 9 times out of 10. So now you're asking yourself, the 6.5 Creedmoor, how does it run in this gun? So what's really cool is it's almost the same case diameter as all of your 308 and all of your 30-06 cartridges. It's actually based off the 30 TC, 30 Thompson Center, and it's just a touch bigger in diameter. It's so irrelevant, the extra size in it, that they fit all 8 rounds into the clip. All of them feed and function absolutely flawlessly. And it was kind of mind-boggling actually, the fact that you could take this cartridge that came out years, decades after the 30-06 was ever even thought of. Actually, probably almost a century after the 30-06 was even thought of. So it's kind of interesting the fact that how well it feeds. It ejects the clip. There's no issues whatsoever. I mean, it was outstanding. I was genuinely thinking like, okay, if we can get through like 1 or 2 clips before a malfunction, like I'm gonna be happy with that because this is such a crazy build. Like, if we don't get this thing perfectly dialed in, I'm okay. But the guys over at Fulton Armory, they dialed it in perfect. I have zero malfunctions with this thing. Once you get your gas system set right, it's absolutely outstanding. And what's super cool is the 6.5 Creed. It is so soft shooting. Gentlemen, I cannot stress enough how soft shooting it is out of this huge, heavy platform. I've never shot an M1 Garand that was so soft. So what's interesting is when you shoot it and the gun goes bang with a 6.5 Creed, you can literally feel your op rod moving back and forth, that shuffle into your arm. You can hear and feel your spring working in there. When you shoot it with like a 30-06, now it's manageable because you've got this big heavy gun, but the 30-06 is still a pretty stout little cartridge, and it's still that boom, boom, that's that big, just boom explosion in your face. The 6.5 is just like, it's so much smoother. It's honestly impressive. So guys, we have a wrap on the M1 Garand. So, I mean, I cannot say it enough how blown away I am with this build. It's so much fun. It's so aesthetic. It's just beautiful. And it runs so great. I cannot thank the dudes over at Fulton Armory enough. So here's the thing. I talked to Fulton Armory and they were like, it's not really a project we could probably do consistently. And this is kind of a one-off thing. We really just wanted to see if it can be done. But if we have enough demand for it, we'll do it. And we'll make it a real deal thing and we'll make it a full-time thing. So guys, I am tasking you. Your mission? It's simple. Talk to Fulton Armory. Spend your money at Fulton Armory and tell them, say, hey, I will pay you to make me a 6.5 Creed just like 110 Sass. If we get enough people, guys, they're going to make this a real deal thing. And we're really going to have our social security tied up for sure. Like, we're definitely going to get it if we keep building guns like this. So anyways, gentlemen, guys, I cannot thank you enough for the views. I cannot thank you guys enough for liking and subscribing to this. I mean, I'm just having a ball with this, and we're going to continue to keep doing fun stuff like this and neat things if you guys keep supporting. So say it with me, run your gun and not your mouth. And gentlemen, we will catch you next time. Thanks also to Mr. Swag.